Hi, you guys. Welcome back. And of course, if you're new to this channel, welcome. My name is Tracy, and in this storytime video, I'm going to tell you how I found my passion in life by reflecting on my childhood. So stay tuned. It is pretty well known that children are very connected to spirit, to that inner part of themselves that is non-physical. Children are very connected to their hearts. They are not afraid to speak what is on their mind, and they're not afraid to simply be who they are, even if at that time it is throwing a huge tantrum in the middle of a department store or something along those lines. So, as we all know, children are just very open to just express who they are at any moment, anytime. So, in this video, I'm just going to explain that how in my experience, I kind of found my passion in life by reflecting on my childhood. So I'm going to tell you that story here in just a minute. But first, I want to kind of describe the kind of passion that I'm talking about. So passion is basically, it's something that incites enthusiasm within us. It's something that makes you feel strong emotion. Passion is a thing that brings enthusiasm. So there was a time in my life a couple years back where I kind of lost that enthusiasm and my passion for life, mostly because I fell into a rut of doing the same thing each and every day. Wake up, go to work, come home, do more housework, go to bed, repeat. And life started to feel to me like a broken record, just the same thing happening over and over and over. I was not reaching for anything else. I was simply living my life on autoplay, so to speak. So it wasn't until I finally got the guts to just sit down and make my very first YouTube video last year in 2019, when I finally found a spark of passion that lit within me once again. As I reflected on my carefree days of childhood, it became clear that there was kind of a theme in my play, or when I was playing and using my imagination as a child. You see, every single time I played, I was always in front of an audience. My friends and I would put on plays for the whole neighborhood where we would invite all of our parents to come and watch the play that we made for them. We would have costumes and everything. Then also, I was known to have many concerts at night in my bedroom with my friend sitting on the top bunk of my bunk bed, shining a flashlight down onto me from up above so that I could be in the spotlight while I would lip sing to Janet Jackson. And whenever I played Barbies, my Barbies would always put on the biggest fashion show you've ever seen. So you could say that I definitely always imagined putting myself out there in front of people, in front of an audience. I even remember when I was a teenager having a conversation with my mom that I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do with my life, because I knew deep down I wanted to be famous. But at the same time, I had no idea what I would be famous for. So I didn't really know how it was going to work out. My mom, of course, didn't have any answers for me about that either. So there's that. But yeah, so in reflecting on in my childhood, I definitely, every single time I played, I was a leader or I was someone who was in front of an audience of people and just creating for them. So now let's fast forward to what my life became as an adult. So I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do with my life. So I did not attend college directly after high school. So I entered the workforce, and years later, I am still working, of course. I do have a full-time job. I have not been able to quit my day job yet, as you can tell by my number of subscribers. But I'm working on it. So, speaking of, if you're a viewer but not yet a subscriber, I would love for you to click subscribe down below. I promise you that I will have content that you would love to watch on a regular basis. Back to the story. So right out of high school, like I said, I entered into the workforce. I just continued working full time. And then on the side, I still had this idea that one day I'm going to have an audience. But at that time, I still didn't know what I wanted to do. I did become an avid reader when I was about 19 years old. I began reading all kinds of books. And honestly, reading became one of my favorite pastimes at that age of my life. I really didn't love reading as much as I do in my adult life when I was younger. So there is also a stage of my life where I decided maybe I get my audience by being an author. And I even wrote a book, which obviously is not published yet. So as time went on, I kind of lost sight of that childhood dream of mine. And I got deeper and deeper into being an adult and having all these responsibilities and bills and things like that. And of course, along the way, I met my husband. We got married, had 2 beautiful children, have a mortgage. And so I stayed there in the workforce. I've actually worked at the exact same job for the last 16 years of my life. Of course, if you ignore your true passion in life, it will nag at your heart. So when I was 28 years old, reaching my Saturn return time, I had this nagging feeling that my life was becoming purposeless, even though I do love many aspects of my life. I just felt like something else was missing. So in my seeking, I ended up finding the School of Metaphysics. Now, there were other aspects to me finding this school. I've even told you guys a little bit about how my deceased grandma came to me in a dream telling me she's trying to get the Lord on my side. That was in my Visitation Dreams video, so I'll be sure to link it up there if you have not seen it yet. It is quite interesting. But the reason she even came to me in a dream in the first place was because I had that feeling of a lost purpose. I felt this, like I said, a nagging in my heart, knowing that there was something more that I was meant and destined to do here. So I found this School of Metaphysics and I began to work on myself. I learned how to meditate. I became connected to my spirit. I became able to come in tune to my psychic abilities, and I've learned so much just through that school. It opened a door to spirituality that may not have been opened had I not found a place similar to what I found. So the more I learned from the mystery school, the more I also learned that teaching is wrapped up in the spiritual lessons. So I ended up becoming a teacher for that very same school. So since a lot of my spirituality has to do with not only self-reflection and learning about my inner self, but it's also intertwined with this desire to share what I've learned and what I've gained. through stories such as the one I'm telling you now. So my whole point in telling that part of the story is that I began to have this sense of purpose once again because I became more connected once again with my spirit, similar to how you are in childhood. So after I was done with that stage of my life, I was in my 30s and then moved on, and I learned about healing using Reiki, and I have talked about Reiki in previous videos as well, so I better put a playlist for that up above for you in case you're interested in learning more about Reiki. But after the Reiki attunement and learning about that, and then practicing self-Reiki and also sharing Reiki with others, I learned even more about myself. And that is how I began to slowly reconnect with my passion. And so it wasn't until January of 2019 that I began to play with the idea of being a YouTube creator. You know, another way as adults that we disconnect ourselves from what really brings us enthusiasm and what ignites passion within us is worrying about what other people think, or, you know, in general, just worrying about how other people will receive you if you are your most authentic self. So for instance, when I tell people that I want to write a book, no one actually believes that I can do that, or that I will do that, or that if I wrote a book, it would become published. So there was this one time in my life before I started on YouTube where I told that dream to my Uncle Bob. And my Uncle Bob actually said to me, "So what do you want to write a book about?" And I told him, "Well, I've already written it, and it's about my life." And his response was, "Well, who's going to want to read about you?" I was like, and so that's when I decided to shelf the book for quite some time. And honestly, even up into this point, I have not gotten it back out. But the reason is because he connected with my own insecurity. He brought that out in me just by asking, "Well, who's going to want to read it and why?" He didn't understand what it's about because I didn't really tell him what it's about. I just told him it's about me. So in that case, that is when I just kind of decided to think about it. You know, how would I create an audience? How would I make people interested in my story, in connecting with spirituality and, you know, finding myself after the age of 28? And that's when I got the idea that it might be a good starting point to get going on YouTube, to get an audience built up. The more that I learned about myself and reflected on my childhood and my life and just kind of where it had gone, that is when I realized it was when I disconnected from that childhood dream of mine is when I lost that passion and I felt like I had no purpose. So therefore, even though I was so scared, one day I just decided to sit down with my phone and hit record. And by the time I was done recording, I went ahead and clicked upload onto YouTube. And I couldn't even believe I was doing it. But once I did it, there was no going back. Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Tracy Erickson. I am starting this channel because I wanted a platform to speak on in regards to all of the different experiences I've gained during my journey into understanding myself. I have so much that I want to share with you guys that even if I never have more subscribers than I have right now, I am so fulfilled. I'm full of passion. I am full of enthusiasm because I am here and I'm sharing my story with the world. It's as though I am reconnected to that inner child of mine who all she wanted to do was share with the world. So I guess that begs the question, have you connected with your passion? Even if you're not getting paid to do what you're passionate about, it really does bring so much joy and so much fulfillment and purpose into your life to simply use your spare time to do something that you absolutely love. I feel like it's my calling to be somewhat of a teacher out here to the public, teaching you all about connecting with your spirit, about developing your psychic abilities, and just learning about the different ways of the universe. This is something that I am passionate about, and it just took me to find myself once again before I actually found the stage that I was meant to stand on, to share this with the world. That is why I love YouTube. So before I end this storytime video, I want you to kind of reflect on your own life. Are you living the life that brings you passion and enthusiasm? Are you connected to what you did as a child? When you were carefree and you were completely connected with your heart and with spirit? I believe that we knew a lot more about our inner selves when we're children than we do as adults, especially in this age where information comes at us so quickly, just stealing our attention moment to moment, hardly giving ourselves the time to truly listen to the little whispers of our soul. So I recommend that you sit down and meditate and reflect on your childhood, to think about, when I was a child, what did I play? What was I doing when I was connected to my imagination? Because that is what you are imagining for yourself as you get older. So if you're like me and your Barbies played, when you played Barbies, you had a big fashion show, basically because you wanted to have a big audience in front of you. Just kind of connect that, find a theme, because the big Barbie fashion shows I used to have are not the same as the concerts that I would have in the dark, or the plays that my friends and I would write and perform for our neighborhood. But there is a common theme in all those things. And that common theme is that I wanted to always put myself in front of an audience. And so I am glad that I connected with myself once again in order to find what I'm passionate about, because YouTube has seriously brought me so much joy. So before I let you guys off here, I also want to say thank you. Thank you so much for watching my videos. Thank you guys for being subscribers to my channel. Thank you for, if you're liking videos, giving it a big thumbs up. And basically just thank you for listening to all of these ideas that I can't help but to share with you. Well, that about wraps it up for this video. So if you like the video, be sure to give me the big thumbs up. And if you're a viewer but not yet a subscriber, I'm asking you once again to please click subscribe down below. And once you are subscribed, you can then click the bell if you would like to be notified each and every time that I upload a new video. Thank you guys so much for watching and spending your time with me. I love you. And I'll see you next time. Bye.